Very good day to one and all. This is Rajesh Devarai, lecturer in botany from Government Degree College, Bichkunda, Kamareddy District, Telangana State. So, the Department of Botany organizing video lectures due to COVID-19. So, dear friends, in BSc Botany, we are going to discuss today topic levels of biodiversity. In that, we had previously discussed about genetic diversity, species diversity, ecosystem diversity. The remaining part is threats of biodiversity. Day by day, we are going to lose the diversity from the nature. So, what are the threats or what are the causes to lost diversity? So, threats are causes of losing biodiversity. We are categorized four things. One is like environmental factors, human interference, and etc. So, the causing or threats are very much influenced or affected the loss of biodiversity. So, dear friends, the levels of biodiversity and the threats of biodiversity or causes of biodiversity is very much important. So, we are going to discuss. So, now we are going to discuss about the threats of biodiversity. In that, we are categorized four steps or four groups, namely environmental factors and natural and catastrophic reasons, human interference, and population exploitation. The population exploitation we have discussed already in previous tutorial, and environmental factors also we have discussed a previous video tutorial. So the third one is natural and catastrophic reasons. A natural catastrophic is a sudden change in the environment, not as a result of human action. It includes forest fires, variations in temperature, storms, floods, tsunamis, earthquakes, volcanic eruptions, changes in ocean currents, such such natural and catastrophic events cause depletion of groundwater tables, leading to desertification, flooding, destruction of forest, etc., which in turn lead to extinction of local life forms and alter the biodiversity. So, dear friends, the natural catastrophic regions means it may come as sudden changes in the environment. There is no human interference to change the sudden changes in environment. So, my dear viewers, so what are the sudden changes occur in nature? They may forest fires, variations in temperature, storms, floods, tsunamis, earthquakes, volcanic eruption, changes in ocean current. These all are natural and catastrophic events which cause a depletion of groundwater table leading to desertification, flooding, destruction of forest, etc., which in turn lead to extinction of a local life forms and alter the biodiversity. So, friends, the biodiversity will be lost, the natural and catastrophic reasons also. When these type of reasons or things formed in nature, then also the biodiversity will be lost. So this is also one of the most reason to lose the biodiversity. The fourth one is human interference. The human interference has been gradually causing extinction of biodiversity for over a long time. The exclusive use of natural resources by human is the primary cause of large scale destruction of biodiversity. Some of the important areas of a human interference is the extinction of biodiversity or a habit habitat loss and degradation. The habitat destruction invariably results from the expansion of human populations and the human activities. The ever expanding human settlements have been causing destruction of natural ecosystems to meet their requirements of food, space, shelter, etc. The destruction of tropical forests, wetlands, grasslands, mangroves, and other biologically rich ecosystems around the world threatens to eliminate thousands of life forms. According to international institutions reports, already more than 50% of wildlife has been destroyed in 50 tropical countries. It is estimated that wildlife forms to the extent of 80% of in India, 80% Vietnam, 85% Sri Lanka, and 94% in Bangladesh have already become extinct. Kolleru Lake in Andhra Pradesh, Chilka Lake, Pichavaram, mangroves are the best example of depletion in biodiversity due to human interference. So, dear friends, when the human interference for the habitat loss and degradation, when the human requires the food, space, shelter, for this human interference is much more in ecosystem. So, according to some international institutions reports, already more than 50% wildlife farms has been destroyed in the tropical countries. 50 tropical countries they are they are studied. It is estimated that the wildlife forms to extent of 80% in India, 85% in Sri Lanka, 94% in Bangladesh have already become extinct. So, see how much the life forms or organisms are extinct from their natural conditions. So, dear friends, the Kolleru Lake in Andhra Pradesh, Chilka Lake, and Pichavaram mangroves are the best example for depletion in biodiversity due to human interference. So the tourism and etc. takes place in that Chilka Lake and Kolleru Lake. So next is the habitat fragmentation. It is a process where a large continuation area of habitat is reduced in area and divided into two or more fragments. Habitat fragmentation may take place due to the development of roads, rail lines, canals, industries, etc. In an virginal habitat, the fragments thus formed are often isolated from one another by highly modified or degraded landscapes. The habitat fragmentation divides population into isolated groups that not only limit the species dispersal and colonization but also reduce the foregoing ability of animals. These isolated, small, scattered populations are increasingly vulnerable, vulnerable to inbreeding, depression, and stray out in search of mates and are susceptible to environmental hardship, leading possibly to extinction. Reduction of tiger population in Nalamala forest, and elephants in Mahubalai, Mahumalai forest are the best example for habit fragmentation. The third one is hunting and punching. The poaching is another threat that has emerged in recent decades as one of the primary reasons for the decline in number of species. Poaching pressures, however, are unevenly distributed since certain selected species are more heavily targeted than others. The wildlife is sold in the form of live specimens for meat, peacocks and birds for feather, sheeps for skin, snakes and crocodiles for every, and horns, elephants and rhinos and lions, deers, tigers for the pleasure of hunting. Whales are hunted for oil and riding, turtles for shells and medicinal needs. All these practices lead to decline in the number of these species and at the end to extinction. So the hunting and poaching also a reason of a threat to biodiversity. Then introduction of exotic or alien species. Organism introduced into habits where they are not native are termed as exotics. They can be thought of as biological pollutants or considered to be the most damaging agents of habitat alterations. Free form parasites, pathogens, predators, and competitors that normally keep their number in checks. Exotics like Lanthana camara, Parthenium hysterophorus, Echorea species often exhibit explosive population growth that crowds out native species. The aggressive alien invasive species are a significant threat to local forms and biodiversity. So, dear friends, the introduction of exotics or alien species when the developmental things or accidental things may happen to introduce the exotic or alien species. Some exotic species and some alien species are introduced by human interference or it may occur in natural process. So dear friends, here we are given the one or two examples, the Lanthana camera and Parthenium hysterophorus. The history of the Parthenium hysterophorus is a native of Mexico. So when we are struggled in India for effort, the time when revolution is outcome, which is green revolution. So the time we don't have any food and we are struggling for food. So that time we are introduced a Mexican breed of wheat at northern India. So the Mr. M.S. Swaminathan was started a green revolution. So there he was imported some Mexico wheat breed along with along that wheat breed the Parthenium heterophorus seeds also present inside the wheat seeds inside the seeds bag. So, dear friends, the quality checking or seed certification authority SCA. The time there is no certain type of the certain type of developmental things. So when we are imported the Mexican breed of wheat along with the Parthenium hysterophorus seeds will also come to the India. So that's the reason the native of Parthenium hysterophorus is Mexico, but the Parthenium hysterophorus here also it is successfully leading their life here. So this type of some species are uh, some species are aggressive uh, alien invasive species are a significant threat to the local farms, local plants, and it decrease the diversity. Next one is diseases. The incidence of disease in wild species may increase due to human activities. The disease increase further when animals are kept in captivity in zoos, sanctuaries, and reserve areas. Animals, as compared to plants, are more prone to infection when they are under stress. The recent incidents of sudden death of tigers, lions, and other animals in reserved forest and zoos are example. So when the ecosystem is facing some diseases also threat to the biodiversity. And one more is podu or Jew cultivation. Some of the tribals living in the forest for their livelihood cut the forest trees and prepare the small areas of land for cultivation. This type of cultivation is often referred to as podu or Jom cultivation. In Vishakhapatnam district of Andhra Pradesh, the tribals follow this type of cultivation. In the northeastern states of India and in some part of Himalayas, this type of agriculture is practiced. Since the scientific methods are not followed in this type of cultivation, after 4 or 5 crops, the yields are reduced sustainably. Hence, The tribals move to more fertile new areas and follow the same practice. These practice resulting in deforestation, soil erosion, and destruction of biodiversity. So, dear friends, the Podu and the gem cultivation also affect the uh, biodiversity. The next one is pollution. Environmental pollution is the from most suitable form of habit degradation. The common causes for pollution are pesticides, industrial effluents, emissions from automobiles, toxic pollutants can have disastrous effects on local pollutions, populations of different life forms. Mysterious, wider spread death of thousands of sails on both the side of Atlantic Ocean in recent years are linked to toxic substances like DDT, lead, etc. The oil spill in the ocean is another major pollutant causing large scale death of many species of wildlife, of fishes, seagulls, etc. Water pollution adds further to the destruction of diversity. The value of biodiversity. The value and importance of biodiversity can be categorized into direct and indirect categories based on the benefits it provides. A variety of biological sources directly contribute to the human welfare by providing food, medicines, drug, and shelter. It also indirectly provides many ecological services such as air purification, soil formation, nutrient recycling, and climate control, etc. Direct utility value of biodiversity. It is a known fact that man is dependable on almost all living forms for his survival, food, shelter, and other needs. The smallest microbes too, by their living activities, produces useful things. In the service of man and biosphere, some of the more important utility values of derives life forms are discussed here. Food products. Plants which provide food explainly the most important value of biodiversity. Originally, plants were consumed directly from wild state and gathering of produce continues thought that world even today. Presently, around 200 species of angiosperms have been domesticated for the needs of food production. Of these, only three crops, namely wheat, rice, and maize, are of major international economics importance. Similarly, just 10 species of animals and birds give 95% of food products to mankind, although relatively a few plants contribute globally to food production, but at local level, particularly in tropics. A wide range of plants provide a vast variety of food products, but intensive cultivation of uniform crops has displaced local varieties and often disappears completely. Still, a vast varieties are yet to be identified and assessed for food values. Timber wood is one of the few commodities used, communities used, and treated worldwide. It is one of economical most important commodity in national and international trade. Wood export consist, constitutes a significant part of the export earnings of many tropical developing countries. Malaysia, Indonesia, and New Guinea are the major exporters of teak and mahogany wood. For timber trade, many of the tropical forests are being degraded through excessive harvesting, indicate management. Medicinal value. Living organisms, both plants and animals, provide us with many useful drugs and medicines. For example, quinine, a drug used for treating malaria, is obtained from a plant called cinchona. A drug called Taxol is obtained from the bark of Taxus species and is used for cancer treatment. Digitaline, an important drug in the treatment of certain heart ailments, comes from a small flowering plant, purple, purple Foxglove digitalis species. Penicillium is extracted from a fungus, Penicillium. Many more such drugs are obtained from forests of tropics as shown in table 17.1. Many plants native to India like tulasi, neem have medicinal applications. There are still numerous organisms that may produce useful medicinal compounds that are yet to be identified and tested. The natural medicinal products, aspirin, Source is bark, which is useful for anti-inflammatory. Alanatin, blowfly larva, useful for wound healer. Basic tracing, bacterium, antibiotic. B. Venom. B. Artistic. Relate. Sitarabin. Sponge. Lacnaria. Cure. Crostinol. Mexican am. Anti-inflammatory. Digitalis. Foxglove plant or Digitalis species. Heart stimulant. Diosagni. Mexican am. Birth control drug. Breath control drug. Erythromycin. Bacterium. Antibiotic. Morphine. Poppy plant. Analgesic. Penicillin. Fungus. Antibiotic. Quinine. Cinchona bark. Malaria treatment. Reserpine. Rauwolfia serpentina. Hypertension drug. Tetracycline. Bacterium. Antibiotic. Vinca blastin. Vinca rosea or rose periwinkle plant. Anti-canceric drug. Vinca christine. Rosy periwinkle plant or Vinca rosea. Anti-canceric drug. Biodiversity of indirect utility value. The genetic value. Biological diversity is a valuable genetic resource. Most of the hybrid varieties of crop have been developed by incorporating useful genes from different species. There are several cases to exemplify this. Powdery mildew resistance genes from wild variety of watermelon grown in Uttar Pradesh were transferred into muskmelon grown in USA for the disease resistance. The second one is genes obtained from a grass variety of plant from Indonesia were introduced to impart resistance to red rot disease in sugarcane plants. The third one is genes from Bacillus thuringiensis were introduced into cotton for pest control. Such breeding and biotechnical applications have ultimated scope for developing better strains, hence building gene pool to develop biological diverse forms is essential. Then ecotourism. Biodiversity is an important equality of landscape beauty. It adds to the equality of life, providing most beautiful and appealing aspects to our existence. Now, nowadays, more people are spending a large sum of money on fragment programs related ecotourism. In our country itself, I example ecotourism trips in Godavari River in Pavikondalu area, Munneru Tekkali wildlife trips in Kerala, ecotourism trips in Girnar forest of Madhya Pradesh, rafting and adventurous trips in Himalayan rivers are few examples of how biodiversity indirectly helps in improving economics of local populations. Many tribes and human social societies attach a much importance in maintaining and preserving mountains and plants because of their religious significance. Scared grows leading to tourism. Banyan tree in Villamarri is an example of this tourism. Next, ecological balance. A wild species often provide a valuable but unrecognized service in maintaining ecological balance in nature. For example, frogs feed on insects and others equal to its body weight every day. The increase in frog population in India and Pakistan might be one of the reasons for increased damage of crops by pests, and reoccurrence of malaria, dengue, etc. Thus, frogs helps in maintaining ecological balance and contribute to human welfare. Similarly, bats, birds, and insects are of great importance in crop pollinations. The disappearance of reduction in number of any of these organisms bring a profound impact in crop yield and biodiversity. Such important species are called keystone species. Banyan tree is one of the keystone species which provide the shelter to large variety of birds and insects, which in turn maintain ecological balance. The last one is other indirect ecological services. Uh, Diverse communities of plants and animals and microorganisms also provide indi- indispensable ecological service to the nature. In preserving balanced biodiversity, some of important ones are solar energy absorption, fixation of carbon dioxide during photosynthesis, purification of atmospheric air and water resource management of geochemical and hydrological cycles, recycling of soil nutrients, prevention of soil erosion, regulating the global and local treatments and climates. So, friends, this is the biodiversity threats and direct, indirect effects to the diversity. So, thank you very much. Please follow our YouTube channel, Bartley underscore GDC. Thank you very much.